Thank you very much for welcoming us here. I tell you, we started this company because we were inspired by a rather simple idea, the idea that energy is opportunity, the idea that if you could expand access to energy, you could actually expand access to opportunity. And we've partnered with OPIC to scale up a program, to scale up a business model that is now making that idea real. Our company sells solar as a service to energy-poor households and small businesses in rural India. It's a solar leasing program, a rooftop solar leasing program that's making clean electricity affordable for families, for farmers, and for micro businesses in rural India. And to help spread this idea, we recruit from the villages young people to act as our solar entrepreneurs, to act as solar technicians. We recruit and we train them. And they go out and help win us customers and serve customers. I had an opportunity recently to go and meet one of our entrepreneurs and go for a walk with him at sunset. Actually, the sun had just set and darkness was setting in on the village, and I wanted him to introduce me to some of his customers. And the first customer we went to was a small shopkeeper. She had a small kirana shop, small retail shop in the village. And she was very excited now that she had this solar lighting system because she could keep her shop open a few more hours every day and generate more income for herself and her family. The next customer we visited was a family. And as we stepped out of the darkness from outside into their brightly lit home, I saw the young mother sitting on the floor with her children playing a game, sort of a rhyming game, a counting game. And she was playing, she was teaching, all under solar lights. And next we stepped outside into a courtyard where some older men had gathered for some tea in the evening, and conversation was very lively and more people were coming. And as I looked around, I realized we were sitting under solar lights and we were in this small oasis of light in an otherwise very, very dark countryside. And sitting beside me was that solar entrepreneur. And I asked him, why? Why did you choose to work with Simpa? Why did you choose to become a solar entrepreneur? And it was actually he who told me what you said before. He said, well, look around. You know, shops are staying open, families are spending time together, the community's coming together. Before we had electric lights, village life would pretty much shut down at sunset. People would go into their homes, they'd close their doors, children would be sent off to bed, and life in many ways came to a standstill until sunrise. These solar energy systems that we provide, he pointed out, they generate maybe 5 or 6 hours of electricity every day. And that's 5 more hours of work, of play, more time to keep your business open, more time to socialize. And he was the one who pointed out to me, he said, Paul, I realize that we're not just providing 5 more hours of light every day, we're providing 5 more hours of life every day. And he's very proud to be a solar entrepreneur in his community, improving life for people in his community while also generating some income for himself. So I'm very proud, very honored to accept this OPIC Impact Award on behalf of our whole team, on behalf of the 50,000 people who now have access to clean electricity, on behalf of the 1,000 solar entrepreneurs and solar technicians that are today, that are every day, lighting up lives in rural India. So thank you.
We're going to switch up the schedule just a little bit because we have this afternoon a very special guest. It is my great pleasure to introduce to you Ambassador Susan Rice. We're very honored to have her joining us. As you know, Ambassador Rice, from her current position as President Obama's National Security Advisor to her role as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador Rice has worked tirelessly for just the kind of solutions and people we've been talking about here today, for worldwide security, for prosperity, for the rights of people in every corner of the earth. She served in numerous leadership positions in the Clinton White House, in the State Department, at the Brookings Institute, and I myself had the privilege of interacting with Ambassador Rice, not only in a number of settings, I would say from the Situation Room to the sidelines of small children's soccer games, and I can attest that her passion is matched by her brilliant mind, but is also matched by her infectious and essential sense of humor in serious times. So please join me in welcoming Susan Rice to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, Elizabeth, for inviting me to join in this special occasion, and most importantly, for the outstanding leadership you've provided at OPIC. You've really done a tremendous job. I want to start by congratulating all of the awardees one more time. You're driving effective, sustainable development in some of the most underserved regions of the world. Harnessing technologies so that more children in Kenya can get a quality education and start a better life. Making milk safer to drink for families in Georgia and boosting the incomes of local dairy farmers at the same time. Bringing affordable and dependable solar energy to families in rural India, as we just heard, who have never before had reliable access to electricity. Thank you for your commitment to helping people lift up their own lives, as well as their families and communities. Ceremonies like this remind us of the vital work that OPIC does every day, not just offering financing or political risk insurance, but making lives better. You don't have to be an expert in global development or finance to understand the difference it makes when a family can turn on a light, or when a farmer sows higher-yielding seeds, or when an entrepreneur finally gets the chance to start her own new venture. That's the power of development done right. And that's why OPIC is such a critical piece of America's leadership around the world. From day one, President Obama made it clear that development is an essential element of our national security. But governments can't do this work alone, nor should we. At a time when private investment flows into developing nations outstrip public aid by a ratio of 7 to 1, we have to work with the private sector to support small and medium enterprises, to invest in fragile economies, and to spur sustainable growth. That's how we'll ensure lasting and effective change. And that's why initiatives that expand trade and investment flows into the developing world, like AGOA, the African Growth and Opportunity Act, are so important. Last week, the Senate approved a 10-year extension of AGOA, and we hope very much that the House will act swiftly to do the same. When it comes to catalyzing greater investment in developing markets, OPIC is one of our most nimble and effective tools. All told, OPIC has more than $18 billion in investments across more than 100 developing countries, including the poorest areas of the world and those most vulnerable to conflict. And yet, for 37 straight years, OPIC has returned money to the American taxpayer, because where private investors might see too much risk to shoulder a loan, together with OPIC, they tap into markets with extraordinary growth potential. And the benefits go both ways. While OPIC mitigates the risk to the private sector, it mobilizes investment to support priorities like promoting economic growth, eliminating extreme poverty, and improving stability in fragile states. OPIC is a linchpin for several major administration initiatives, including Power Africa, with a commitment of just $7 billion from the US government, of which $1.5 billion comes from OPIC. We've already secured more than $20 billion in private sector commitments to help meet President Obama's goal of doubling access to electricity across sub-Saharan Africa. Last year, OPIC committed more than $1.2 billion to finance clean energy projects around the world, projects that will add more than 1,000 megawatts to the grid, while averting almost 2 tons of new carbon emissions. So we're making people's lives better, combating the impacts of climate change, and at the same time, supporting a low-carbon future. Promoting prosperity, including by increasing America's exports, is a key pillar of President Obama's domestic economic agenda, as well as his development agenda. And that's why we've been so focused on passing trade promotion authority through Congress, so we can negotiate agreements that support jobs here at home and raise the standards of our trading partners. With the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, TTIP, we're pursuing the most ambitious trade agenda in history, reducing barriers to trade and investment across 2/3 of the global economy. We're also taking the lead with our partners to set the standards for global commerce in the 21st century, including key labor and environmental protections. Through its development mission, OPIC supports jobs here at home while creating jobs for local workers and bolstering the economy of developing countries so that over time, they become less dependent on aid. By picking only the best partners and by upholding strict environmental and labor standards, OPIC investments have sustained a positive impact on people's lives and offer a model of responsible business conduct. So in short, everyone wins. But it must be said that for all of its excellent work, OPIC is still underutilized. There's nearly $11 billion in available OPIC financing that's currently untapped. A tool this effective should be maximized. Think of how much more private investment that money could leverage. How many more homes and businesses could we power with clean energy? How many more hospitals could buy advanced equipment or subsidize care to poor patients? How many more families could access clean water or send their children to school or plant more nutritious crops? Let's challenge ourselves to find out. So I want to thank everyone at OPIC for your deep commitment and for making the difference that you do make every day around the world. I know you'll keep up your outstanding work, and I want to thank you on behalf of all of us for doing so. Thank you.